I'm Nurse Jessica Seitz, along with Nurse Erica. We're Nurses Uncorked, the podcast that takes nursing facts with nursing comedy and makes a little cocktail out of it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Nurses Uncorked. Like always, I am your host, Nurse Jessica Seitz, along with the beautiful Nurse Erica. And today, I'm not sure when we're airing this, but we have an interesting story we'd like to talk about that's out of Pennsylvania that I don't know that much about other than a little bit of drama that I've heard. But I'm going to let my lovely partner in crime here, Nurse Erica, let's just dive right into it. What is the Pennsylvania drama and what happened this week in nursing? What's going on?
Yeah, you kind of left everyone on a cliffhanger last time with this.
I did,
so
yeah.
We've got to fill them in.
Mm-hmm.
How do I always get involved in these things? I just want to report it and empower nurses. How am I involved in this?
I don't know. Somehow it's your fault. That's all I know. We're just gonna make it. When in doubt, it's Erica's fault.
Right?
But hey, I've been in drama with you too. That could be a whole nother podcast.
Oh, that could be like 3 podcasts.
We'll have to have our special guest on there with us, won't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Will be.
Talk about trauma bonding.
That will be a long episode. Wow.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is, Jesus, now I can't even think of how it went. Never mind. I won't even get the teaser. I can't even think of how the. Oh, that's it. Bad. Boop. Have bad days too. That's all I gotta say. Bad. I don't know if you can say that word on here, but
yeah.
Anywho,
yeah, that'll be in the future something to look forward to because that'll be a good one.
Yeah. We got to add some clips in from that. All right, so back to Pennsylvania drama. What's going on with the Pennsylvania nurses and Nurse Erica?
So Pennsylvania has been working really hard. PASNAP and the Pennsylvania nurses and some other associations have been working hard to get this legislation passed in Pennsylvania called the Patient Safety Act. And one component of that is mandated nurse-patient staffing ratios. So it's a big deal. Well, they got it through the crucial committee. I had reported on that a couple of weeks ago. And then recently, it actually finally officially passed the Pennsylvania General Assembly, like their House of Representatives for the state, essentially. Huge win. Okay. So now It's moving forward to the Pennsylvania Senate. And we'll have to see how that plays out. But it's looking really good. So, I'd been covering that and really pushing the story and encouraging Pennsylvania nurses to get involved and all of that. So after it passed the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, I posted a letter, not thinking a whole lot of it, saying, oh, and by the way, if you want to know which nursing leaders and management there actually support safe staffing and which ones don't, here's the letter that they sent to the House of Representatives, to the General Assembly, urging them not to support it, not to pass the Patient Safety Act.
Which is public record, I would assume, right?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. Then, all right. I mean, anybody could find this information, right?
Yeah. Presumably, yes. If they know where.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody really. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So, and I think that's interesting to know, in my opinion.
And I wasn't the only one to put it out, to share it like on social media. There were others, but maybe mine garnered more traction. They didn't have as big a platform, perhaps. I don't know. So people think that I discovered this, that I leaked this, like it's Watergate. This is public information. Okay.
You paid somebody off, Erica, to get that, didn't you? I know you did. So, okay, so you published the letter,
and I made a video, and I posted screenshots of it. This is a 22-page letter. Now, 20 of the 22 pages are all the
Uh-huh.
names, signatures of all the
Oh,
management and leadership that agreed, that were agreeing to send this letter urging Pennsylvania legislature to not pass HB
that's a lot of
106.
signatures. That's a lot of, it
It's
sounds like a
like
lot of signatures.
400, it's either 428 or 438 altogether. It's a
Wow.
lot for one state, a lot. I'm going to tell you some of the titles. I have it pulled up here in front of me. I'm not going to share
Okay.
names, but just some of the titles to give you an idea.
Oh, okay.
Director of Emergency Services, VP Case Management, Nurse Manager Cardiology, Clinical
Mm-hmm.
Coordinator Adult Behavioral Health, Nurse Educator,
Wow.
CEO, Manager, Nursing Supervisor, Manager of Float Pool, Associate Director of Nursing Services,
Wow.
Chief
These are
Operating Officer, Director Quality Management, Interim Chief Nurse Executive, Vice President, Clinical Decision Unit Manager. You get the idea.
these
Okay.
are important people that have big titles, right? I
Correct.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they're
It is everything from like assistant nurse managers to assistant director of nursing, DONs, assistant CNOs, chief nursing officers. There's directors. There's the ones that really get me is there are about 3 magnet team coordinators, like directors over the magnet program. And then there's some that are quality directors and leaders. So they're so interested in quality that they don't want to support
right.
safe staff, right?
Right.
So it's
That
almost
makes total
entirely
sense.
nurses, right? Almost
Yeah.
entirely nurses on the list. Even the CEOs, I believe, are all RNs on there. The ones that were really disappointing to me were there was quite a few nurse educators on there. So,
That's
and
sad.
nurse education positions in hospitals, it's like it's not really leadership, but it's kind of leadership. And they live and work side by side, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? But nurse educators are all about evidence based practice and patient safety and patient outcomes
Yeah.
and all of that. Well, we know the evidence shows, the research shows that mandated ratios, nurse to patient ratios, absolutely improve outcomes and patient safety. Like this is not up for argument. We know
Yeah.
this to be fact, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah.
to see that many educators sign it was really disappointing to me. We kind of expect it from like the CNOs, the directors, right? No one is really shocked by that, but to see it from the
Yeah.
educators was disappointing.
Especially like, you know, not that it gives it justice, but the people that it affects their paycheck possibly, like uh, that their
Yeah.
bonus may not be as big if they're having to put more money towards staffing. I can
Yeah.
see why they would want to sign it. I mean, it's crappy, but I understand it.
Yeah, for their
Um,
own personal gain.
yeah. What do you think the thought process is behind some of those other signatures? Do you think it does affect them monetarily, and that's possibly why, or do you think it's pressure from higher ups
I,
to
I
sign
think it's
it?
probably more the latter, pressure to sign it, wanting to be seen as a team player, that sort of thing. But I have heard some interesting takes on it, which I'll get into from
Oh,
various
okay.
nurses. So I posted the letter, not thinking a whole lot of it. I think I went to bed after that. Wake up to just, it has spread like wildfire. And you would have thought
That's
I
how it always
found
happens.
like,
You go to bed and have sweet dreams, and you wake up and everybody hates you.
yeah,
Good
it's
morning. Good morning.
crazy.
Yeah, that's how it happens. At least you got to
So
sleep.
before it happened, yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
woke up to just like thousands and thousands of DMs and emails and messages and comments. Nurses collectively just lost their mind about, like, in outrage of this, to see in black and white how many of their nurse leaders that, often in many cases have claimed to support staffing legislation, to see it in black and
Mm-hmm.
white with their name there, I think really threw a lot of nurses in a bit of a tailspin. And so they have been just reposting this letter everywhere. They're taking it to work and leaving it on the bulletin board or in the break room. They're putting it on their own social medias. They're doing all these things, and a lot of them are confronting the people, like their nurse manager, saying, "Can you explain this? Because didn't you just tell us last?"
Right.
That kind of thing. So hospitals and management immediately went into what seemed to be a collective damage control, like the very next day. I'm hearing from nurses everywhere that they're coming in, they're showing up for night shift, they are coming to all the unit huddles, they are holding emergency meetings.
Are they
You
going to say they're
know,
holding hands? They're they're singing "Kumbaya." They're trying it all. Yeah, they're passing out Starbucks gift cards.
right? Pizza suddenly, yeah, all of
Oh,
it. Yeah.
so they're doing the best they can with damage control because
Uh-huh.
basically everyone knows now that they're crappy. I have to say crappy. I don't think I can say bad words on here. They were not very nice in our opinion for signing that, and now everybody
Yes.
knows about it.
Yeah. They weren't prepared for nurses finding out that they had signed this,
Oh
because in the past, this sort of thing had never really been leaked. So, leaked, it's public
yeah.
information. It was not widespread known, and nurses didn't know where to look for it. And it wasn't talked about. And, I've been highlighting a lot of committee hearings where CNOs go and testify, and it's live streamed. And I've got some clips of that on TikTok. And, they're nurses are starting to get involved now. And so they were not expecting that to be held accountable and for anyone
Okay.
to know. So I think they
Yeah.
were really caught off guard, and they were being
Almost
called
like
out.
they thought it would be like an anonymous signature
Yeah,
or something. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
oopsie. Now instead they have
Oopsie.
their their pictures in the bathroom, and people are throwing darts at them.
Right, right, yeah. So
Oopsie.
I started getting a couple interesting stories from individual hospitals and facilities there in Pennsylvania. A couple of people have told me that in one case, allegedly, upper management, maybe the CNO or whoever, sent an email like early on a Monday morning saying, "Hey, here's this letter. We would like all of leadership to sign it, but we have to send it back in an hour or 2 hours. So if we don't hear from you, we're going to assume that you are in agreement." Well, a lot of people didn't even see that email
Oh
until after
no.
the fact. And isn't that so sneaky? So sneaky.
But
Clearly
wait,
they did that on
Erica,
purpose.
how would they get their signature if they didn't read the email?
I think it was that not so much like a physical signature as they were including their names and titles and
Oh.
locations,
Okay,
that kind of thing.
but that sounds shady regardless.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it I
definitely.
mean, if
Definitely.
you write somebody's name, you would assume that they gave consent to write their
Correct.
name. Well,
Correct.
that's
Yep.
just finding
Mhm.
a way to do what they want to do. I mean, who
Yeah.
the hell checks their email every hour? Not
Right.
me. I
Right.
can
And
tell you
and
that.
who has to suddenly send it back within an hour? Like, come on. You don't think we see through that? Yeah. And
Oh,
then I
that's
hear
horrible. So now I'm understanding maybe why there's a lot of names on there that they would not have wanted their name on there. Right?
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
so
exactly.
then I heard from one place saying that a bunch of them went and confronted like their nurse manager and their leadership, and a lot of them didn't even know yet about this letter. They had never seen it. They were shocked to see their name on it.
Wait,
And
are you gonna read the letter to us?
do
What
you
the
want? It's
hell does
kind
the
of
letter say?
long. Do you want me
Well,
to?
give
I
us
can read parts of it.
or give me some high
Okay.
points, the gist of it.
Okay. Okay. Let me find it
We
here.
here say sign this or your job is in jeopardy.
Right? Essentially. Yeah. So we are as diverse as the Commonwealth and represent rural, suburban, urban communities and hospitals. We provide expert care during some of the scariest, saddest times, blah, blah, blah. We're writing today to ask you to take meaningful steps to develop more nurses who can care for Pennsylvania patients. And we urge you to oppose House Bill 106, the Patient Safety Act. And then
Okay.
it goes into a whole bunch of gaslighting. Some highlights that I thought were hilarious are they're like, what about the LPNs? This doesn't include the LPNs. You know, they have never given a second thought to LPNs, right? And
Now all of a
CNAs. And
sudden
suddenly, yeah,
this is important.
suddenly they care. And they're talking about graduate nurses. Well, graduate nurses should really not even be part of this conversation because you should be fostering them and giving them appropriate ratios and not throwing them to the wolves, you know.
Okay, so
And then they
that's one
reference,
reason they're saying because LPN CNAs were left out, you should
yeah,
sign this. Okay, that's all right. Whatever. What other reasons should they come up with?
you know, it's funny because anytime, not just Pennsylvania, in any state, whenever there has ever been any kind of proposed legislation with staffing ratios, they always use the exact same arguments, and they've been recycled for 20, 30 years. They have never come up with anything new, and it's
They
always
copy it. They copy and paste it.
literally, yeah. So it's always some kind of version of if you force us to have mandated ratios, we will have to
Uh-huh.
either close beds, close units, or close our hospital entirely. And then they go into a whole sob story about, you know, we are the critical access hospital. We're the only labor and delivery unit for this area. We're, you know, what about the community? And you can't turn your back on the community because we're going to have to close. Well, these are
What?
the
Wait a minute.
same.
I don't understand the rationale there. If you have more staff, why did why would they're saying that they monetarily can't keep a room
Yes.
open? I don't understand.
Yeah. They're claiming that there's no way that they will be able to find enough nurses or pay that many more nurses. And a combination of that will force them to shut down or close units and turn patients away, that they won't be able to admit them because they won't
What if
have
the CEO
a
cut
nurse.
down on his bonus check at the end of the
Yeah.
year?
The
Like,
14
what if
million. Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
good.
what if maybe he took 13 million that year or
Right?
kept it the same? I mean, I'd be happy with 13 million. I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm just saying
I'll take a
I do
CEO
I
job for a cool 650. You don't even
yeah,
have to
right?
hit the million.
I'll sit in a chair and put a suit on all day long, right? I
Right.
mean, seriously, yeah, we'll take it way cheaper. We'll bring it way down. I mean, but it's just like don't tell me there's not any other way to cut cost. Like that we're going to say the fact that you want to have more nurses to take care of the patients, the only other thing we can do is going to detriment the patients. So
Yeah.
therefore it's just I mean, that is absolute bull crap.
Yeah.
There is a million other ways to freaking cut cost. I mean,
Yeah.
okay,
Of course.
anywho, well,
And these are the
yeah,
same things that they threatened would happen in California 20 years ago when California was trying to put through the mandated staffing ratio legislation. They swore all of this would happen, and it never did. Hospitals didn't close, units didn't close.
of
They
course.
found the nurses. These are nothing but scare tactics, empty threats. And they're using the
Right.
same ones 20 years later. So that's essentially what this letter is saying. You know, we urge you to put all the money into nursing schools so we can get more nurses to you know, fill the fake nursing shortage. That's a whole other podcast we'll have to do one of these days.
Yes, that yeah,
um,
that, for
and
sure.
then 400 plus people signed this. So, and you know, it's only Pennsylvania. Like, think about that. That's a lot of leaders for one state, you know.
Mhm.
uh, And so then this one smaller facility, they confronted the leadership the next day after I shared this, and a lot of them were allegedly shocked and didn't even know that their name was on this letter, had never seen the letter. So eventually it
Or
went to the
if they had,
CEO.
they went, oh, what?
Yeah, of course. There is that option. Yes, that's
What
definitely a
what is
possibility.
that? I would
Yeah.
no, I would never.
Yeah, and it
No.
makes you wonder with these stories coming out, maybe a couple of them are true, but it also would be very convenient for them to be true, right?
Well,
Uh
I would say for a I'm sure some of them saw it and agreed to it, of course.
yeah.
But I'm sure that there was a large part that maybe did not get a chance to go to their email and their name
Yeah.
was put on the list. I'm sure. But I'm sure some people lied and probably knew all about it, but don't
Yeah.
want their whole department hating them
Yeah.
and
And
probably
and this
pretended
is
like they
this
didn't.
is, numerous facilities, right? So these are like isolated incidents. I only heard the email one from one place, so this is not like everywhere, right? Uh,
Mhm.
and so in this place, it went to the CEO, and the CEO is an RN, mind you. And she apparently, allegedly, put the names of her entire management leadership team on this, unbeknownst to anyone. Now, the CNO had been aware of the letter at the time and had refused to sign it herself, the chief nursing officer,
Mm,
because she actually supported the mandated
okay.
ratios. And so then
Okay.
apparently behind everyone's back, the CEO went and just added everyone's names. Now I think it's maybe like 20 people at the most. It's not a lot because it's a small place. But
Okay.
still. So imagine if this is true, imagine being like the nurse manager and you walk in and everyone's like, you know, and you don't know anything
Yeah,
about
well,
it, right?
what's going on around here, guys? Why's
Yeah.
everybody got those long
Yeah.
faces on? Yeah, that would be
And
very
so,
awkward.
I mean, if I was one of those people and that was true and someone put my name on something like that, unbeknownst to me, I would be looking at not only reporting it, but maybe seeking legal counsel because honestly, that is defamation of character, right? That's huge. If you work in
Yeah.
nursing leadership and now publicly your name is mud because you don't support safe staffing and essentially you don't support nurses, like that's not good. And
No,
so
we
I
don't like
wonder,
that. We don't
no,
like that. No, not at
we
all.
we do
Mm-mm.
not react kindly to that. No.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of that from that one facility, if they group together, if the CEO is somehow ousted or held accountable, because I would want her out after that, or if all
Yeah.
of this is just convenient, like you had said,
Mhm.
and they all
Right.
knew what they were doing and the same thing that they've always done, and this is just another form of damage control. Who knows? Who knows?
We may never know.
But
Right.
now, a couple of days into it, after sharing it, it has come to my attention from lots and lots of places that nurses are being told and threatened to not follow me on social media because that could, I don't know, be what they're claiming a violation of their social media policy, or that it will come back and haunt them, or any number of things. So they're being told by charge nurses, by managers, we're watching social media. We can see who you're following. You better not be following her.
Or wow. I mean, I've never heard that you can't follow people. I mean, that's a new one. Um,
Yeah.
and way to deflect the ball here.
Yes.
At
Yes.
administration, way to deflect it. Let's put it on Nurse Erica because
Right.
clearly,
I'm the
had
problem.
had she not put this letter out, then you wouldn't
Right.
know to hate me. Okay,
Yeah.
you would we would all just carry along like a bunch of dumb,
Yep.
and come on. I mean, okay, so they forward them
Yeah.
an email like they always do and gaslight and try to threaten you into doing something, and
Yeah.
they can see who you're following. I wonder if I'm on that list of not to follow.
Who knows? Who
That
knows?
could be next. We don't like her either. She makes fun of us all day. Take
Yeah.
unfollow her too, or we're firing you. I mean,
Well, and it's funny because I had noticed that my follower count was steadily going down, and so yeah, when you're
I'm sorry. I know
when
it's
you're an influencer or a creator, like, we pay attention to our follower count, right?
yes, yes,
And when
we
it's
do.
consistently going down over a couple of days, you're like, what's going on? Especially if it's multiple platforms, because if it's one, you can blame it on the one platform. But if it's happening on all of them, you start to wonder. Well, then I start getting these messages saying, and I'm checking them. Everyone that's messaging me, I'm looking if they're following me, and they don't. They don't follow me, and they're all saying, "I love you. You're valuable, but I can't follow
But
you
I gotta
anymore
go.
because I'm being threatened. My charge nurse is telling me this. My nurse manager is telling me they're watching."
This is like Big Brother. Like, I mean, what the? Do they not
Yeah,
have anything better to do? I mean, could they not work on like making sure we don't kill patients
right,
instead
right.
instead of tracking their social media? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
So,
Call me
and they're
crazy.
manipulating nurses because the fact is that's not legal. They cannot
No,
dictate who you can follow and not follow. I mean, that's some like
ridiculous.
communist crap right there, right? Like they cannot do that. So, I was trying to get across to people, because a lot of people probably aren't aware that you have an option in your settings on a lot of platforms to make
To private,
your
right?
list private, who you follow and who follows you. You can make that private on lots of different platforms. So, utilize that tool, but also know that that's not legal. Now, what they can do in many cases is if you are posting really negative things about your employer on your social media, they can, in some cases, come after you for that because that can be a violation of their social media policy because you're disparaging the company, the organization. But to take it so far as to say you cannot follow specific people,
So let's
come
say,
on.
what if you came out and made a movie, nurse? What if Nurse Erica was in a movie, and the movie was about nurses and how it's going down the toilet? What
Yeah,
would they say if you're caught watching
at the
this
movie
movie?
theater.
Yes, if we look at your bank account and you've gone to AMC
Yeah,
or Regal Cinemas, uh, there are repercussions, serious
yeah.
repercussions here.
I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
just one, nurse creator, but like that's a slippery slope, right?
did
And
anybody
I would
actually
be
send
concerned.
you a copy of the email? Like, did you see a
Yeah,
copy of what?
yeah.
And
But
it really
yeah,
says,
I mean, some of the,
"Wow."
most places are smart and they don't put things in writing, but I always ask, can you send it to me? And so I did see from a huddle because they do have to keep like
Ah,
agendas for huddles for a period of time. So I did see that as a topic of conversation. Nurse Erica.
morning huddle. Get your coffee and get your phones and unfollow immediately, people. We want you caffeinated and unfollowing right now. Everybody,
Yeah.
before you get report.
Let's
And we're
see.
going to
Take out your
check your
phones and
phone.
unfollow right now. Let's see.
Now put your phones away.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to use them at work. That was just an
Yeah,
exception.
yeah, that we were testing you. You're also in trouble for that. But while you have them out, while
They would.
while you
They
have them out,
would.
yeah. Oh, totally, totally. That was a test, and we're writing you all up for that. But while they're out,
We're going to give you a
please get
warning because you did go ahead and unfollow her, but it's a
please
warning.
please get her off of there, off of your phones
Like
immediately.
what has my life become at this point? Like it's a joke, it's absurd.
You know, God forbid you try to do the right thing and
Yeah.
warning or letting nurses know, like, hey, you might think somebody's got your back, but they really don't. There's people that you would assume that would be for
Yeah.
safe staffing that really aren't in your corner, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that that's valuable information, you know?
I do
I
too. Absolutely.
I would want to know.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not that you're the only person that had this information. I mean, there's
Right.
many
No,
people
it's
that were
public
talking about
record.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There was many people reporting
Yeah.
about it, talking about it, but for whatever reason, because your TikTok has a lot of followers, it blew up while Erica was snoozing. She was sleeping. And and by morning, it was get your coffee, get your phones, and unfollow. That's freaking
And
crazy.
unfollow. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's still kind of sinking in, you know. I was so surprised when I started getting these messages yesterday or the day before, and it still hasn't quite hit me, but I finally thought, okay, well that explains the decrease in follower count. At least I know I'm not crazy. Like that's happening.
Yeah. You're like, well, there another one. They scared her off too. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's
Yeah. And
important
then that
information,
that
though.
just bothers me.
I've never seen a social media policy include
No.
what you can watch or not watch. I mean, I obviously
Yeah.
everybody understands if you're speaking out about your facility in pretty much any light, they can probably find a way to
Yeah.
ixnay you.
And
You
you
know,
know, that's different, but they do have very craftily worded social media policies, you know, to prevent them from posting anything negative. But to take it that far, I mean, what's the next logical step? They can't follow a political figure, you know, they can't follow certain groups, you know. They're really going to try to dictate. It's a slippery
but you
slope,
know
and I
what?
just want
That brings up a big point, though. That's why, honestly, there's not that many nursing social media influencers that aren't afraid to truly tell what's going on because
yeah,
there's so much fear of backlash at the
yeah,
facilities that people, it's like you can kind of touch on it, but you can't really say how you feel or what's really going on behind the scenes because
right,
of that fear that the social media policy or whatever
hmm,
can be interpreted in a way that you could lose your job. And
yeah,
that's why I think it's not as prevalent and people don't hear as much about it because you especially talking bad about administration or the higher ups and what
yeah.
really is going on is there's not many people
It's
that are willing to do it, and
precarious.
I don't blame them. I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
Even when before I left bedside, I felt honestly like I was having to um curtail a little bit. Like I
yeah,
didn't want to completely dog management or administration. Like I would make funny videos about the daily ins and outs of nursing, but there was that
hmm,
always in the back of my mind that fear, like,
yeah,
if I do this, like I don't care who you are, where you're from, I'll hire anyone as long as you work. Yeah, you know, I would probably not have done that before I left
yeah.
bedside. And that
Because because the culture of nursing is so retaliatory. It's retaliation driven
yeah,
and it's retaliation centric, right? And
true.
it's effective, unfortunately. But you know, I will say nurses are they're wisening up and they're starting to at least recognize things that you know we used to fall for. We used to let ourselves be manipulated or gaslit, whatever, and now we are at least starting to see through a lot of the bullshit. The veil has been lifted.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nurses are they get it. I mean, they're wising up, that's for sure, of what really is going on. But It's just so many people feel stuck in a rut, and it's so that like you said, every time we talk now, Erica, it's like we think of a whole nother podcast just just
I know.
from talking about a certain topic. Um, well, Erica, well, it'll be interesting to see over the next week what people get pissed off at you about by the next by the next time we film something. Well, we're gonna. Oh my gosh, I'll have to. I'm thinking of the crap storm you were in a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Never
which one?
mind.
There's so many.
With, with vet talk, vet talk.
Oh my God. Yes. That's a whole other
I,
podcast.
I'm
Good
writing it down right
Lord.
now. I'm writing it down. Oh my god. Look. I'm already making a list. Look at this. Well,
I
I
love
think
it. I
unless
love
you have anything else you want to add on to this one, I think that the Pennsylvania drama is a wrap, and it's nothing but a bunch of hullabaloo and
it.
obviously the unfollowing and the scare tactics. Think wisely, nurses. Think
Yeah.
really what your organization can do to you, but more importantly, think about who your leaders are, right, Erica, and who
Mhm.
is the ones that can actually help make the change, and think about why they're not doing it. You know.
Mhm. Yeah, what's their
Uh,
motivation for it? And if you're in Pennsylvania, please get involved and pressure your state senate there to get this passed.
amen. Hallelujah. Well, I think that's a wrap for today, and we'll catch you guys on the next Nurses Uncork podcast.